kicked off all my video.
You have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Can you hear me without dialing in?
Yeah, you don't need to dial in. You don't need to dial.
Good enough.
Do your curveball. Okay, be nice. I started recording.
No nasty words.
It's never stopped Mike before.
That's correct.
All right, I've got 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order for February 11th, 2021. The first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Which
which stands one nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty,
and justice for all.
for
Thank you. And now if we can just have a moment of silence for those who have given so much for this country and this community, and those who have suffered from COVID. Thank you. And let's see. Next item on the agenda is in public comment. I'm not seeing anybody from the public here. You know, all numbers and faces are accounted for, so they don't have anybody for public comment. Next item, the motion to accept the minutes of the meeting of February 4th.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes for February 4th?
no,
All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. James,
yes,
Pat,
Yes.
John? John?
Sorry, yes,
Okay. Darlene?
I was on mute here.
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Greg? Verbal, please. You're muted.
yes.
Thank you, and I'm yes. So those are accepted. Moving on to the meetings from Monday night, February 8th. Looking for a motion to approve those.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Get a motion second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on those minutes?
no,
Hearing none. We'll vote. Greg?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Darlene?
Yes.
John?
Yes,
Pat?
Yes.
James?
yes,
And I'm a yes, making it unanimous. Thank you very much. Let's see, nothing for appointments and hearings, communications and correspondence. I see nobody from the Board of Selectmen. And I see nobody from the school board. So we'll move on. No old business. Into new business. First, the item is presentation from the town manager, and he contacted me earlier today, and he had said he basically had nothing to present to us. So gave him the night off from us after y'all already dealing with us once this week. So the next item is, let's just have a little bit discussion regarding the wastewater and the meeting from Monday night. Anything anybody wants to say? Any questions? Pat, thank you for the question you sent earlier. That got forwarded along, and the response I got was that it was a really great question.
It's going to be an interesting one because, you know, I don't understand everything at New Seabury. Mike could answer it, but I believe they have their own wastewater treatment plant. So I would imagine the bulk of the homes in New Seabury are tied into that system, Mike, are they?
No, the new homes are.
The new homes are.
Most of the old homes, which would be about maybe 1,400 or so, are not.
Okay.
The new villages are, and they're gradually, all the new homes are being put on the wastewater treatment plant. But they do, one village that I manage does pay annually to the wastewater treatment plant on an individual basis. So I think the answer to your question is, and I think there's 11 of those systems in the town, give or take.
Yeah.
And I think there's one of the issues, because it's not going to happen in phase one, but one of the issues we discussed years ago was an eminent domain or a public-private partnership, and connecting those independent ones to the big body. And I would think that that'll be a shared cost or that type of thing when it happens.
Well, you know, that I understand. And just for clarity's sake, I do represent a number of those condominiums as an attorney.
Yeah.
So I will recuse myself, but that was a question. But it's my understanding that a lot of those have extra capacity. And I've always wondered why there hasn't been some approach for tying into those for some of the neighbors, if you will.
There has been discussions
because
back
when
5
they
to
were-
7 years ago.
When they were building Katuitt Meadows, which happens to be next to Stratford Ponds, I realized that's Katuitt. But there was talk then of them paying a fee and tying into the Stratford Ponds system because of its excess capacity that it could handle. It's just an economical way, instead of piping miles of piping, to really shorten the piping and to use, you know, to get the clean water from these systems.
Yeah, we had that discussion quite a few years ago, Pat, and I think it all depends on, as the project goes forward, what parts of the town, if you may or not know, the northwestern part of the town was considered back then to not even be considered as part of the wastewater, and let the septic stay where they were, because none of the effluent went down into the bays. But, and like New Seabury was talked 2 years ago about connecting or being purchased or however it was going to work. But the present structure right now that they're looking at doesn't have any impact on the people that would benefit by the New Seabury system.
Yeah, I may be looking too far in the future, but it was just one of those questions that it's a finance committee to at least address it, so that down the road, it won't be a surprise to anybody.
It's a question that's got to be answered.
Yeah, and while it may not be for phase one, it's if you've got the question out, at least put it out there so it doesn't get lost.
Right.
Well, my understanding from Tom is that at some future date, all the independent systems will be incorporated into the design and engineering of the town system.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
That would make sense, you know,
If they
from an
can.
engineering point,
yeah.
I don't know.
Some of them
Yeah,
are older and they can't be connected right away without some substantial improvements. But yes, they could connect. The idea was to have all 11 or 12 connected.
Yeah, because I do know that Southport just redid their treatment plant.
Yeah, Mashpee has one, and the school has one, and Windchime has one. So they're all going to be ultimately connected.
Sure.
Yeah, there's something like 10 of them around, I think, altogether.
Yeah,
Well,
11,
the school,
11 or 12.
Yeah, well,
Not so that many.
I just hope it was a proper question to put out there.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, a related question too, if anyone knows, and maybe it's been answered and I just didn't pick up on it, but once the first phase is built and goes into operation, whether the cost of that operation would be borne by those that are connected to the system, or to some degree by everyone in the town, as is typically the case with other municipal functions.
I mean, well, that brings one other question.
Guys, Ron, but that's.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
Are there many wells in town, private water wells for the main water source? Because it's my
We have
understanding,
some down our way. We have a few.
it's my understanding that in a typical town, the wastewater is billed as a subset of public water usage. So people that would be with a private well would not receive a bill for water. So how does one calculate the usage for the sewer system?
Well, I would imagine they have a separate bill. My thinking is if it's operational, it's going to go into the operational budget of the town manager.
If it's operational, not based
So
on
we're all
usage,
going to pay
right?
for it through our taxes.
Well, the taxes are through your water bill is the question. Maybe that's the question. The beauty
I
of
think,
it being,
they've
tax bill.
identified all of the homes that would be tied in on phase one, and therefore they probably know right now what percentage of them, if not 100%, do have municipal water.
That's right. They do.
Yeah.
and
And there are a lot of private wells, but many of them, we found out, it's not allowed anymore in Mashpee unless you're grandfathered, I think, to use town water for irrigation and sprinkler systems, underground irrigation. So a lot of folks have private wells just for that purpose and may have municipal water in addition to that.
That's sure
Well,
too.
the other question as a finance committee we might consider is, let's take the position that everyone is going to pay some type of fee, whether they benefit directly from the wastewater connections or not. Would that be a fee as a water fee or a fee as a tax? The beauty of it, if it's in our real estate taxes, at least there would be some tax benefits of a deduction as opposed to a water bill where there would be no benefit for a reduction.
Right now, a portion of the real estate tax bill is a disbursement to the water department, separate from usage of water. So to your point, maybe a similar approach would be appropriate here.
But don't mix them up. One's water, drinking water,
Yeah.
and the other's wastewater. They're two separate.
Yeah, I'm talking wastewater though. Depends, how one bills it to each resident of the town. Just something to think about, which would be a benefit if it's a tax
Well,
or a deduction.
the private system that I manage, not manage, but work, there's a annual cost that we see every year, and it's divided by the number of homes that are connected to it, and each individual of those homes gets billed. I get a bill and I pass it on to them on a quarterly basis. That's probably how it's going to work, but
Okay.
I'm sure they'll
But
figure it
right
out.
now, the water district does collect a tax. It's just paid through your real estate bill, so it becomes tax deductible, and that's separate from water usage.
Right.
So they may opt to do something similar with the sewage, except for the fact that sewers under the current plan would not be a district like the water district. It would be a town function.
Yeah, well, something to think about, see where they want to go.
It's just a lot of money.
It
And
is.
it's going to affect a lot of people, and it's not just one phase, mind you. I mean, there's 5 phases out there. Each of those are over $50 million each.
There's 5 phases, but my guess is that when we're all said and done, they'll probably have 2 phases from Mashpee.
Well, that's my hope, but we don't know that. We don't have a crystal ball to say that.
No.
And depending on how phase 2 goes will depend on how to get to phase 3 and so forth. And there's some areas, just so you know, at least in this area, like Papaneset, this area isn't even scheduled for wastewater. No sewage coming down this way. So there are areas in New Seabury that might not get it either.
Well, I guess
It's true.
long,
It's okay.
yeah.
But I'm just saying it's going to affect a lot of people. I do worry about folks on fixed incomes. I do worry about people that are families and what it's going to do to families in our communities. I know the freight train's coming.
Yeah, I worry about it too, Greg, but
The information's got to get out there. And
we're killing
So people
everybody.
have to make a choice if they want to spend that much money long term. That's the bottom line.
Well, if you don't spend it now, you're going to lose everything you have because the environment's going so bad so fast. It's terrible.
I agree. People got to know though, Mike.
I agree with you, Mike. It's one of those things we have to bite the bullet and be economical about it, but we've got to address the problem and fix the problem. If not, if it comes into a type of a suit, and I think I'm correct in saying this, if it should fail on the vote at the town meeting, then there would most likely be a suit filed against the town.
Yeah, the suit is right now pending, being filed right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it'd be nice to control one's own destiny than put it into the hands of a third party to dictate what to do.
I don't like to go on record.
But people don't like to feel like they're being bullied either by an outside organization. Okay.
Yeah.
So the townspeople are going to vote one way or the other. And, I think it has to go in, but the townspeople may feel differently. So you got to hold on tight for that because you just don't know what people are going to do.
Yeah.
I suspect that, a lot of this is sort of an academic discussion until close to March 15th, I guess it is, when we actually see some hard numbers. And then when people start assimilating what the ramifications of that will be in the article and the warrant, and then the vote for the borrowing of it, they'll probably think of it in the context of, well, this is just phase one, and there may or may not be a phase 2 through 5. So I think once everybody gets their arms around what that initial phase number is going to be, we'll answer not only a lot of questions, but temper, to your point, Greg, how they feel about the long-term exposure if the town does proceed with multiple phases.
Correct. And I think the numbers are crucial. We don't have the numbers yet, so it'll be interesting to see all that.
Anything else?
So does anybody have any unanswered questions other than around the numbers that they want passed along?
Well, not just numbers. I think making sure, so they talked about several examples of how they're going to get people to connect to their homes, right? Financially. I like to see where that lands as well, because there was discussion about possibly building it into your taxes, a discussion about no interest loans that people could get. So what choices are they going to give people for that? Because I think that's important too.
They're going to use examples of around the country areas that have gone through the same exact thing we're going to go through, and hopefully they'll come up with a way to state what they have to do so that everybody understands. I mean, everybody knows that it's coming. First of all, so everybody knows that if you are one of the ones that are going to get connected, which you probably are, that there's going to be a cost. I think everybody prays for a 20-year opportunity to pay it off or something along that line. And I feel comfortable. I'm glad Cotton brought up the grinder pumps. That's something the town might take on. I know it's a lot of money, but some people, it wasn't their fault that they're a little lower, below grade or something like that. So it's coming, and I think most people will be pretty good about it, but they're going to just groan and moan and suck it up, I believe.
And probably the most popular approach would be if the town offered multiple ways for each homeowner to finance their share of it, rather than just a mandated single way to finance it.
Yeah, well, you heard, John, you guys heard the other night about the system that we've approved as selectmen and with the finance committee for years, that program, the septic program that's out there, which gives people an opportunity to fund it for several years. So yeah, there's that program. There's, you're right. If they can offer 2 or 3 ways to do it, some will want to pay it up front, others won't. That might be the easiest way for some to swallow it, so to speak. Yeah, that'll be hard.
Has anyone heard? I know they approved moving forward with the town manager's recommendation of a communications guru for this, which is something, of course, I support. But anyone heard when that will materialize? Because obviously the communications has already started, as evidenced as the video this week that Mashpee TV did with Selectman Gottlieb.
Haven't heard.
Okay, me neither.
I have to say, John, it took me a moment to realize that MTV was Mashpee TV. I went back and said, what's this from music television?
Yeah, so you've never seen my dance video, huh?
We'll put it back on air for you.
Well, if they go back to the original format, it'd be worth watching.
Probably.
Well, Mike, you're going to be, I know you're going to be helping out with Mashpee TV and informing people, so.
Well, I have to say, John was nice enough to send that heads up, and I did take the opportunity to watch it, and I thought it was a good step in the right direction. I would like to see, as we go forward, various forms of it, which is,
Yeah.
okay, I'm hearing voices. Now I want to read, I want a chart. I want to see those 3 or 4 or 5 different options written out, some kind of a guesstimate on the cost factors, because not everybody absorbs information by just hearing it.
Right.
Good point. Well, Darlene, if they get those charts, I can tell you Mashpee TV will broadcast them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that the Mashpee TV is just one resource. I imagine there'd be hearings, printed materials, maybe direct mail piece, inserts to the Enterprise, a series of articles, maybe a few more public forums, even though they probably have to be through Zoom and so forth. So I would hope that the communications person will, exploit every feasible channel to
Yeah,
get the
and
word out.
obviously the benefits should be equally promoted.
It's going to take a full-out marketing campaign for this.
Yeah, yeah.
I presume a person that's does PR for a living will have,
Mhm.
all of the tools available and all the ideas out there.
Yeah, I hope they do it fast too, because like we've seen over the last several years, it always seems like things come in a rush.
Yeah.
at the
Yes.
last minute.
Yes.
Yep.
We've been talking about this for what, 20 years now?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 20 days to get it done?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there's some urgency to getting this communication person on board, and I know that there are, some people or firms or some combination on the short list, but I just hadn't heard any timetables.
Well, it's a very short timetable, so.
The sooner the better.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic for the moment? I'm sure we're going to be talking about this a lot more over the next few weeks, but so much is on hold pending information to actually talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, one of the highest and most important things is going to be, and maybe they can't do it until a certain time frame, is how much money may be provided by the government, how much money forgiveness. That could be a wonderful thing if the town could get something out of that pretty quick, because people will feel good about the fact that we're putting a lot of effort at trying to get some help.
Right.
So,
Not a doubt.
Yeah, I
Well,
like
that's
that.
time constrained too. The video explains that that's time constrained, so
yeah,
again, the sooner the better.
And I like
Mike,
the idea. I brought up to the selectmen as well as Pat did the other night about contacting our federal representatives. I think that should be done by somebody and have.
I was kind of surprised that it hadn't been done already.
I agree. I don't know what they're waiting for. I mean, I think it should be done. It should be. I mean, I understand the issue of not singling out Mashpee for money for this, but you definitely could put money in there for infrastructure that we could gain from, and that would help us out because we've been told there's federal money coming. I'm looking for some federal money, baby.
Well, they
Yeah,
put,
it should be.
they
it
put
should be
money in
presented
every
as a
bill
regional
that they
project,
pass for specialty interests.
Yes. Yes, I
We
agree.
don't have, you know, and you take a look at the last stimulus bill, the money that went overseas, et cetera, okay? There's no reason why we can't approach, Keating and the two senators to put something in there for us.
Yeah, I agree.
Or for the Cape, either one.
Right,
that
exactly.
It should be presented as a regional plan for the Cape.
Yeah, and
That will have more.
that's what they're elected for, to bring home the bacon. Okay, I'm done with this.
All right. So let's move on to taking a look at the town manager's recommendations for the operating budget and the capital improvement budget. What I'm going to do is we're going to go through this similar to how the moderator goes through it. I'm going to go through, read each line. If anybody's got any pending questions on that particular item, we'll put a hold on it, just say hold. And once we go through it, we'll come back and discuss any items that a hold is put on. All right. And so the first item is the moderator salary. Department request of 200. The town manager's recommendation is 200. The total budget for the town moderator is recommended at $200. And selectmen, salary elected. The department request was 15,500. Town manager recommendation 15,500. Salary wage. The department request 411,950. Town manager recommendation 411,950. Expense 38,500. Town manager recommendation 38,500. Legal, engineering, and consulting, department request of 385,000. Town manager recommendation 385,000. Total town manager recommendation for selectmen $850,950. Finance committee reserve fund, department request 100,000. Town manager recommendation 100,000. Expense 70,000. Department request. Town manager recommendation 70,000. Total finance committee town manager recommendation 170,000. And town accountant. We've got the department request for salary and wages, 300,236. Town manager recommendation, $300,236. Expense department request of 2,675. Town manager recommendation, 2,675. Total town manager recommendation for the town accountant, $302,911. The assessor, salary appointed, department request 3,000. Town manager recommendation 3,000. Salary and wage, department request $310,995. Town manager recommendation $310,995. Expense department request of 6,400. Town manager recommendation 6,400. Total for the assessor, town manager recommendation 320,395. Treasurer, tax collector, salary and wage, department request $264,972. Town manager recommendation $264,972. Expense, department request of $48,900. Town manager recommendation, $48,900. Debt service, department request, $2,500. Town manager recommendation, $2,500. Foreclosure, department request of $12,000. Town manager recommendation, $12,000. Total for the treasurer tax collector, $328,372. Human resources, salary, department request, $387,660. Town manager recommendation, $387,660. Expense, department request, $116,429. Town manager recommendation, $113,519. Total human resources, $501,179.
I have a quite a hold on that one if I could. And
Okay. All right, we'll come back to that. That brings us to information technology, salary and wage, department request, $374,048. Town manager recommendation, $374,048. Expense, department request, $326,480. Town manager recommendation, $314,328. Equipment replacement, $27,000 department request. Town manager recommendation, $27,000. Total for information technology, $715,376. Town clerk, salary elected. Department request, $93,355. Town manager recommendation, $93,355. Salary wage, $105,251. Town manager recommendation, $105,251. Expense, department request, $9,175. Town manager recommendation, $9,175. Total for the town clerk, $207,781. Elections and registrations, salary, department request, $63,095. Town manager recommendation, $63,095. Expense, department request, $23,000. Town manager recommendation, $23,000. Total for elections and registrations, $86,095. Conservation salary and wage, department request, $228,350. Town manager recommendation, $228,350. Expense, department request, $5,420. Town manager recommendation, $5,336. Hearing expense, department request, $500. Town manager recommendation, $500. Total amount for conservation, $234,186. Natural resources, salary and wage. Department request, $508,932. Town manager recommendation, $508,932. Expense, department request of $136,500. Town manager recommendation, $132,840. Propagation, department request, $135,000. Town manager recommendation, $135,000. Total amount for natural resources, $776,772.
I'll raise my hand for a hold on that one,
All right.
too.
All right. Planning board expense, department request, $8,325. Town manager recommendation, $1,125. Total for the planning board, $1,125. Planning departments, salary and wage. Department request, $142,730. Town manager recommendation, $142,730. Expense, department request, $4,125. Town manager recommendation, $4,125. Total planning department town manager request of $146,855. All right. Town hall expense department request $282,000. Town manager recommendation $282,000. Total town hall $282,000. Police salary and wage department request $4,404,421. Town manager recommendation $4,404,421. Expense department request $317,681. Town manager recommendation $317,681. Dispatcher's salary and wage department request $548,095. Town manager recommendation $548,095. Total police recommendation from the town manager $5,270,197. Fire salary and wage department request $4,158,990. Town manager recommendation $4,158,990. Expense department request $510,047. Town manager recommendation $507,723. Total for fire $4,666,713. Building inspector salary and wage department request $332,993. Town manager recommendation $332,993. Expense $29,375,000 for the department request. Town manager recommendation $29,375. Total building inspector $362,268. Tree warden expense department request $2,000. Town manager recommendation $0. Total for the tree warden, town manager recommendation is $0. School budget department request $23,528,435. Town manager recommendation $23,299,435. Total request for the school $23,299,435. DPW salary and wage department request $2,896,661. Town manager recommendation, $2,756,526. Expense, department request, $1,178,295. Town manager recommendation, $965,420. Buildings and grounds, department request, $1,300,311. Town manager recommendation, $1,300,311. Total recommendation for the Department of Public Works, $5,022,257. Snow and ice.
That might warrant a hold.
All right. Snow and ice expense, department request, $116,570. Town manager recommendation, $116,570. Total for the snow and ice recommendation, $116,570. There you go. Street lighting expense, department request, $22,000. Town manager recommendation, $22,000. Total for street lighting, recommendation of $22,000. Transfer station expense, department request, $1,154,149. Town manager recommendation, $1,078,249. Total recommendation for the transfer station, $1,078,249. Sewer commission, salary, department request, $100,820. Town manager recommendation, $100,820. Expense, department request, $10,200. Town manager recommendation, $10,200. Total recommendation for the sewer commission, $111,020. Cemetery expense, department request, $15,000. Town manager recommendation, $15,000. Total recommendation for the cemetery, $15,000. Health, salary appointed, department request, $3,000. Town manager recommendation, $3,000. Salary and wage, department request, $321,105. Town manager recommendation, $321,105. Expense, department request, $63,040. Town manager recommendation, $63,040. Total recommendation for health, $387,145. Council on Aging, salary and wage, department request, $264,680. Town manager recommendation, $264,680. Expense, department request, $43,627. Town manager recommendation, $43,627. Total recommendation for the Council on Aging, $308,307. Veterans expense, department request, $121,000. Town manager recommendation, $121,000. Membership, department request, $49,500. Town manager recommendation, $41,500. Total recommendation for veterans, $162,500. Human Services, salary and wage. Department request, $85,601. Town manager recommendation, $85,601. Expense, department request, $51,910. Town manager recommendation, $51,910. Total recommendation for human services, $137,511. Library, salary and wage. Department request, $529,898. Town manager recommendation, $529,898. Expense, department request, $193,467. Town manager recommendation, $193,467. Total recommendation for the library, $723,365. Recreation, salary and wage, department request, $296,871. Town manager recommendation, $296,871. Expense, department request, $32,125. Town manager recommendation, $32,125. Total recommendation for recreation, $328,996. Historical, temp wage, department request, $9,000. Town manager recommendation, $9,000. Expense, department request, $6,830. Town manager recommendation, $6,830. Total recommendation for historical, $15,830. Cultural Council, department request, $90. Town manager recommendation, $90. Total recommendation for the Cultural Council, $90. Principal inside 2.5, department request, $1,178,797. Town manager recommendation, $1,173,797. Principal outside 2.5, department request, $805,000. Town manager recommendation, $805,000. Temporary principal inside 2.5, department request, $0. Town manager recommendation, $0. Interest inside 2.5, department request, $209,138. Town manager recommendation, $209,138. Interest inside 2.5, interest outside 2.5, $261,125. For a department request, the town manager recommendation is $261,125. Principal and interest, temporary borrowing inside 2.5, department request, $70,000. Town manager recommendation, $70,000. Principal and interest, temporary borrowing outside 2.5, department request, $61,250. Town manager recommendation, $61,250. Retirement expense, department request, $3,774,725. Town manager recommendation, $3,704,763. Unemployment, department request, $60,000. Town manager recommendation, $40,000. Medical insurance, department request, $8,592,742. Town manager recommendation, $8,592,742. Group insurance, department request, $15,845 for the department request. Town manager recommendation, $15,845. Medicare, department request, $485,000. Town manager recommendation, $845,000.
485.
$485,000. Town insurance, department request, $946,520. Town manager recommendation, $946,520. The total town manager recommendation is $63,316,930. Cape Cod technical tuition, department request, $1,120,266. Town manager recommendation, $1,120,266. Cape Cod Tech debt, department request, $487,447. Town manager recommendation, $487,447. Total for the Cape Cod Tech recommended is $1,607,713. For a grand total operating budget recommendation of $64,924,643. All right, so let's go back and take a look at what we've got to hold on. So the first thing was human resources.
Yeah, Jeff, just a quick thing. There were two versions of this report. One was edited to correct what I think is the total reduction or increase at the bottom of page 6. So one version was none of the actual numbers changed, just that total. So one is 791, the other is 745. Which is the one that you're using?
Should be the 791.
791. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason I flagged a couple of these on hold is for much the same reason. And it's not so much the year-over-year change this year versus last year or the department requests, but a case of if you go back to FY19 or FY20 actuals on here, the ones that I mentioned for hold
So
show
let's
up.
look at the human. Let's look at the human resources.
Yeah, so that's to go from 340 to 504 over a 3 or 4 year period, where the total percent change compared to even this year's budget is on average higher than some of the other departments, is a pretty good jump. Now, I don't know why that is, or if we hired another person. Big part of that is expense, gone from 45,000 to 115,000 roughly. So I don't know that there's any action that we can take unless anybody else feels on this, but it sort of falls under that general heading of, multiple year trends. And what is the prognosis if we, look beyond this coming year to where that trend suggests we might be 2 or 3 years down the road? I don't expect answers. I just wanted to make us all aware of it. And some of these departments, take a bigger bump over that same period of time than others, obviously.
John, if I remember correctly, natural resources,
This
they
is
were
This is human resources.
human resources. Oh, never mind. Sorry about that. Misspoken.
But that one's on the list too. So.
Right, but we'll take them one
We'll
at
get
a
to
time.
that.
Right.
So, is there anything specific about looking at the human resources that you have a question on?
I've been as specific as I can be. Like I say, I don't have an agenda, but I just want us all to collectively be aware that some of these departments, relative to others, are growing at a much more rapid trend rate for presumably valid reasons. What we don't know is if that's going to be the case beyond next year, of course.
Well, the other thing we don't know is how much of 2021 will end up being turned back or not used.
Of course. But I'm assuming that the FY19 and the FY20 actuals, and maybe I should not assume that, our figures are net of any turnbacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they actually spent.
Right. So that's the point that I'm making. You know, in a 3-year period, 4-year period here, human resources is one of several departments that are trending at a higher increase rate than others.
Well,
and I don't think it's because we have that many more employees that we need to administer through the resources department. Maybe it is.
A lot, if I remember correctly, a lot of the expense in the human resources is trainings for people. That's what that's geared. A lot of that expense is the cost of training individuals.
Yeah. I wouldn't be.
Health insurance, exams too.
Yeah.
A lot of exams for.
Yeah.
It would be interesting as an overall comment. More normally you have training costs that rise when you have a lot of turnover and new employees.
Right.
I don't know what the actual number is in terms of retention. Probably not a question that may be asked at some point. I know you want to go through a whole, so I just want to make one comment that if you look at the fire, police, and DPW, all three from actual 19 to today, close to $1 million increase in all three departments. And it seems
1.7 to be exact.
Yeah, in the years ago in the private sector, you were seeing some substantial annual increases, and I know that this is the third year in many of the agreed upon salary contract associations. There's some substantial increases.
Mm-hmm.
And like the town clerk is up 7%. So it just seems like we're getting hit by salary primarily in a lot of these departments.
That's what the bulk of it is.
But, that's where most of the money is.
So John, do you want to release the hold on the human resources?
Yes, I can do that. I'm just trying to make us mindful of that. And, you know, I know that we try to, the town manager is very diligent about holding the line on increases other than what's anticipated through contractual, collective bargaining agreements. So when there is a substantial increase, like in this case, going from 295 to 387 over that period of time, that suggests that that's an additional head count, not just salary and wage increases. So when it takes a big jump like that, I'm assuming it must be because we've added head count, not because they've gotten exotic increases. And that's probably true in these other departments where those numbers have taken a jump. And I know we have a hiring freeze now, but we know there's 2 approved positions, as I recall, with no plans to fill them immediately. At some point, they probably will be. So, the headcount creep is a concern for any business or any government.
So I looked up what the the proposed budget was for 2020 for the human resources, and that was at 425,490. So that's about 60,000 more than they actually spent.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, sort of a whole nother discussion, you know, whether we intentionally over budget in order to assure turnbacks that can then be deployed for other purposes beside operating budgets.
No, it's not over budgeting to ensure turnbacks. It's creating a budget based on what you think the possibility it's going to cost you to operate, and then hopefully, and what we're seeing is that what goes on during the year is they're managing the funds such that whatever needs are covered, they're ending up not using everything that's been authorized.
I don't disagree with that, but there's a benefit to having the turnback that doesn't necessarily correlate to budget planning, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, to answer your question, I'm fine releasing the hold on that one.
All right. So the next hold was on natural resources.
And the same issue there. We've gone from 545 to 687 to 776 after the reduction. A good portion of that is wage and salary, which is up 11% since this year, and incremental increases in the other areas. And I know this is an important area to the town that we get environmental benefits from investing in, but I'm just singling that out because it's trending at a more aggressive rate than certain other functions.
I think that's an area they've added an awful lot of emphasis over the last couple of years too. It might be
Right.
as well.
And also, I think back to my point I was going to make earlier, is the maintenance program. They have a more rigorous maintenance program with some of their boats and equipment that they need to have. That's all.
Hey, no question about that. We're paying a lot of money for failure on their part to take care of their equipment. Seriously.
So it's good to have a good maintenance program. Get that over with.
Although there's basically no change in the expense part of the natural resources budget, which doesn't suggest that there's more investment being made in maintenance. Maybe we're able to operate more efficiently in some other way.
I think they cut a boat out too, to be honest with you. There's one boat less, I believe. They're using some of the boats they have on the lakes. But this is, again,
I see.
About, I don't want to get into different departments, but three things have happened. When you heard Rodney Collins, the fire department is buying vehicles as compared to leasing, where the police department leases vehicles, and there's a hell of a lot of savings in leasing.
Right.
Rod, at the CPC, not CPC, but at the meeting we had the other day, the fire chief hadn't even thought about it. It had to be suggested to him that you might want to think about renting or leasing vehicles. I mean, so I think Rodney's got to get on some of these guys a little bit.
That may be, yeah.
Same thing in natural resources. They buy instead of leasing.
One thing I'm still noticing as far as natural resources, the propagation is still woefully underfunded from what it's supposed to be.
I think they're finding that it's not giving them the benefit that they thought it was going to get 5 or 6 years ago when they started doing it,
I guess what we don't have any insight on is whether
3 and 4. So.
Yeah, and what we don't know, and maybe we don't need to know, whether that reduction of 20% is agreeable to the department head. Anyway, that's all I had on that item.
All right. Are you willing to release the hold on that then, or?
Sure.
All right. Next item, DPW was hold.
Yeah, and kind of the same theme here. DPW is, I really have to admire Catherine Laurent's capacity to manage and juggle everything that's on her plate. But between oversight of the transfer station and the ongoing DPW issues and the unpredictable snowfall amounts and so forth, it's a labor-intensive process. Our DPW now is responsible for maintenance of town buildings, including the schools. So there are a lot of moving parts and obviously a lot of money involved, on a par with the police and fire departments. But again, here's an area where expenses compared to last year are up 25% or so. And that's approaching doubling of what it was in 2019 actuals. So, we've added $1 million of overhead to the DPW over those couple of years. And, again, that's just a general trending concern as we look down the road. Noting also that the town manager's recommendations and the reductions resulting from that are significant.
So not only do you possibly have, wastewater coming forward with wastewater operational expense coming forward, you have a trend that continues to be increase in our budget throughout time.
True.
You have to ask this question: is this sustainable long term? That's a fair question. Is this sustainable long term? If not, what can be done about it? Okay, then.
Yeah, that is definitely a valid policy question that, I guess it's the Board of Selectmen primarily that needs to get its arms around where we're heading. I'm sure it's something on the town manager's mind almost every day of the year. That's a question that deserves an answer, and it takes some modeling and some diligence, and there are a lot of unknowns and speculation, but maybe the time may come where we can't sustain the level of overhead or the level of staffing even. I know that's certainly a delicate area because everybody is not run out of things to do that's on the town payroll, that's for sure. But in the absence of development and new tax revenues coming into the town, we're exploiting every revenue opportunity we have through new assessments on marijuana sales and short-term rentals and increasing fees for permits and things of that sort. But, that helps, but it may not keep up to where we're going to be 5 years from now. And if we wait 5 years to start thinking about it, we may not have a implementable solution then.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that it's the role of the Finance Committee to articulate some of these concerns, particularly if they're not commonplace in most public conversations elsewhere in town.
Those are definitely things that we, as a watchdog committee, we need to keep voicing as we have. Pretty much every year, we have seem to be bringing up the same issues. Like the costs are going up, and the sources of revenue aren't increasing as quickly as the costs seem to.
Right. And, certainly if the value of assessed property, taxable property in the town increased, that's the way most towns achieve more liquidity on their budgeting process. But that's a function of, new construction and building permits and new business and home sales, et cetera. I don't have any statistics on that, but I don't know that our growth in those areas is as robust as it had been, say 10 years ago.
Plus side, there's substantial new homes being built. There's a couple of hundred in New Seabury. And so there's some general additional tax revenue. And from what I've understood down here particularly, the cost of homes that are selling are up 15 to 20% from their value, from the sales value when they put it on the market. So I think there's two positives there that respond to what you said, John, about some revenue coming into the town. But maybe what we need to do, because we've been talking about this for many, many years, this is the first year I've kind of started focusing on a couple points that may not seem large. And it came out with Rodney saying that they had not watched what's going on in National Resources. And as a result of that, there's additional expenses this year that weren't anticipated. And then when I hear the fire chief, this is not the first year that I've heard this in the meetings we've had with the previous other committee I'm on. They weren't prepared when they come to these budget meetings to talk about how they could manage their expenses in a more efficient fashion. Like I said, for example, leasing versus buying. He never even thought about leasing his vehicles, and someone's got to give these folks, I guess, maybe training, as we talked about, or education, or, I mean, you can't tell me the police chief and fire chief don't talk to each other. If one guy leases all of his vehicles and he's saving money on the budget because of it, and the other guy buys all his vehicles, I mean, there's got to be some way. Maybe there should be some town meetings where Rodney or the finance folks can start saying to the management folks, maybe you should think about this and that. I'm not talking about cutting people necessarily, but
right.
And if we add all the things together, the small one-offs, there's probably some substantial money there.
I would agree. I can't believe that they're not entertaining leasing vehicles, because they can turn them over and not have to maintain when they start to be an old workhorse and breaking down, and you have to put the money into it.
Yeah, and I think, in my, I'm pretty naive about municipal operations, and that's a double-edged sword, I suspect. But, in the business world, when the trends are not favorable, as you project out reasonable assumptions about what the future is, then you start challenging your key personnel to, look outside the box. So, if I had 14 managers reporting to me and then I needed to, project a 12% year-over-year savings over the next 5 years, I'd say, give me your best list of 5 ideas of, how that can be achieved in your area. Which is a little, and I don't know that we don't do that. Perhaps we do. It's just kind of a good management practice, but that's an entirely different mandate or business decision than level funding next year's budget.
I don't think level funding is a good budget tool anyways. I mean, I was never, in my private sector, I was never told to level fund. I was told to save money.
Right. I agree. Anyway, but we see it at all levels of government. The government tends to, it rarely shrinks, despite what Ronald Reagan tried to do, or it did with some success. So whether it's the federal government, the state, local, county, you name it, it tends to incrementally grow from where it was the previous year without constraint. And the reason for that is that, you know, you can always knock on the door of the taxpayer to make that, to fill the gap, which businesses can't really do, of course. Anyway.
Overall, I would say Rodney's probably worked pretty hard to get the budget where it is today. I get very disappointed in the constant increase in salaries relative to contracts, but I know that is a very hard thing to argue. And when you start, what salaries, what percentage of your overall budget? Substantial. So you're really only able to save money on a relatively small percentage of your overall expenses anyways. But when you're down to that and you can't do anything else but that, you got to take a sharper pencil to some of those things, I think. I think you did a pretty good job this year, but it would have been nice to see something a little bit more positive in some of the meetings that I had anyways. It's not with the finance committee. This was on the
you know, it's human nature to deal with what's urgent rather than what's important. And sometimes I think with everything going on, what's urgent is you know, getting through the budget process and getting something on paper and getting it approved. What's important, obviously, is a longer view on where all of that is headed. So I think, you know, if we can get our thought process throughout the town more engaged on what's important, that might be helpful.
Hey, Jeff, maybe I can get you guys all invited to a capital improvement meeting where when we come out with a $2-point-some-odd million budget, but we cut $80 million from being spent. I mean, it's a substantial big difference when you start looking at how we look at things. I realize it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
Well, overall, I think the budget is a good budget. I think Rodney and his team has done a good job. Looks like Mike said about salaries. That's a big part of it. You can only cut so much. So it's just the beat goes on.
Oh, true.
All right. So, John, are you willing to release the hold on the DPW?
I'm very willing to do that.
All right. All right. So that I believe was the last item that was on hold. So that brings us to the town manager's recommendation. Budget is again $64,924,643. Is anybody want to make a motion that the finance committee
I will
recommend the town manager's recommendation, recommended budget? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the proposed fiscal year 2022 operating budget? All right. Seeing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Carrier.
Yes.
Mr. Brady.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Furbush.
Yes.
Mr. Richardson.
Absolutely.
Mr. McKelvey.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So we will recommend the operating budget.
Everybody looks so excited about that.
All right. Let's take a look.
Bring on the balloons.
All right. Let's take a look at the CIP. and go through that. We'll go through this the same way. I'll read it off. Let me know if there's a hold on any particular item. And starting with DPW, we got replacing of a 2012 Ford F-350 at $44,000. Replacement of a 2014 Ford F-350 at $46,000. Replacement of a 2014 Ford F-550, $91,000. Replacement of a 2013 Vermeer Chipper, $75,000. Total DPW request, $256,000.
I'll do a hold there only because I have a question.
Okay. Fire.
Those
Yep.
those trucks could be leased.
We'll get back to that discussion. Fire, purchase 2 vehicles, DC 372 utility 350, $120,000. Fire, total fire request of $120,000. Information technology, phone system upgrade, $25,564. Network switch town hall, $50,000. MS Office, $33,884. Total information technology, $109,448. Natural resources, replace shellfish boats, $43,000. Replace harbor master boat, $158,000. Total request for natural resources, $201,000. Planning and construction, flooring replacement, $50,000. DNR facility, $850,000. Roof solar system purchase, Mashpee Middle High School, DPW, and Senior Center, $119,198. Quashnet School Library AC installation, $75,000. Mashpee Middle High School parking lot resurfacing, $350,000. School security upgrades, $90,000. Total planning and construction, $1,534,198.
Yeah, I have a hold on
Okay.
solar roofing for Mashpee Middle High School. I had a couple questions about that.
All right, we'll put it on the planning and construction. We'll get back to that. All right, police, 10 police vehicles, $156,000. 4 police vehicles, $68,400. Total police request, $224,400. School, food service equipment upgrades, $25,000. Chromebook leases, $45,000. Interactive board systems in classrooms, $25,000. Replacement of teacher PCs, $56,000. Wireless upgrades, $30,000. Flagpole installation at the 3 schools, $30,000. Total school request, $211,000. Total of all department requests, $2,656,046. MCAT is $80,000. Capital stabilization, $2,576,400. $46. So back to the hold on the DPW.
That was John, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Thanks. This is obviously a case of purchasing rather than leasing, but out of curiosity, I've heard of Ford F-Series trucks, mostly pickups, I think. But I looked up on Edmunds a Ford F550, and they start at about $45,000, which is more in line with the other 350 models that we get. But I think that's also configured as a flatbed that you can put different types of beds on. So, Mike, did you get into any of this on what's so exotic about that particular model?
Yeah, it's on the first thing, they buy the vehicles in DPW rather than lease because they last longer, as you can see from the age of some of those vehicles. I mean, they use them until they're almost impossible to drive anymore. So that's one reason why they buy them. That vehicle, I don't have the information in front of me, but it's going to be used for other things. It's going to be able to attach a plow blade, and there are some other things was on that truck that made it more expensive, John. I can get it for you, but I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay,
It wasn't just a regular Ford 550. There were other things added to it, just like when you get down to Natural Resources on the Harbor Master boat. Same idea.
That's what I figured, but I was just kind of curious because that's like twice the cost of the others.
Right.
But that's all I had there.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or about the DPW vehicles? Hearing none, John, are you willing to release the hold on that?
I am indeed.
All right. That brings us down to planning and construction.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this one for the roof solar system purchase. Mike, do you know why they're purchasing that? I mean, these electric companies are giving those away.
If I'm not mistaken, that's it's like a lease purchase.
Okay.
They have to pay a certain amount of money for it, and ultimately after 10 years we own it. But I think that's what it is. Like, again, I don't have the capital improvement stuff in front of me, but I'll get you the answer to that question.
I'm just curious about it. That's all.
We do take a 10-year purchase on most of them.
Right.
And Mike, do we know what we payback we get from the solar part of it? Are we reaping any benefit?
Yeah, again, that was part of the when Catherine came and put everything in front of us as part of the I'll send you that information. I have it. The yes.
Just
The
curious.
answer to your question is yes. We've done very well with our solar purchases over the years.
Well, it pays the town back money.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering, what
Well,
kind of,
any
what kind
excess
of
goes over
benefit
the grid, so it's cheaper for us.
Yeah, no sense in doing it if it didn't.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. I'll release it, Mike. But send me that information, Mike, will you?
Will do.
Thank you.
All right. With both holds released, I'll be looking for a motion to recommend the capital improvements.
motion?
Second.
Yeah, a
Just
motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just the MCAT reimbursement is that probable? Is that the reason we're putting that number in there?
Yes.
If anyone knows.
They haven't had a chance to vote on it yet, but yes, it is.
Okay.
You probably get
Thanks.
that money back.
Okay.
And again, this is all stabilization money too, as you guys know. So.
Right.
Any other discussion?
Jeff.
Yeah.
Do you guys and gals, I should say, do you all get? And I'm not sure you do. The capital improvement book that's presented to us when we meet that outlines everything that's been requested. Have you seen that?
I have not, no.
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 I haven't seen it.
I'll get Terry to make sure you have it, because I think that's one way. I feel pretty good about the capital improvement committee, honestly, because I guess because I'm on it, but it gives you a good idea of all the things that the departments in town believe they need, which fall into the capital improvement arena. And it's substantial. I mean, not hundreds of millions of dollars all the time, but there's an awful lot of things that they've asked for, and they come prepared, for the most part, come prepared to explain what they want. And to get down to $2 million, which seems like a lot of money, is a very difficult thing to do. We have to cut an awful lot of things out, but it's important for you guys as a finance committee to see all of the things that are out there, that are looming out there, that still have to be looked at from the standpoint of purchase down the road. I mean, at the school itself, they came in with a $7 million request. And, I guess Mr. McKelvey's his head's twice as big as it should be, but since he came with a good idea of buying or renting, that went from a $4 million request down to, less than $1 million. So I'll make sure you guys get that. I think you should be able to read it anyways.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, I would appreciate seeing that.
So on that point, so this document is labeled Department Request for FY22. So the actual requests were considerably greater, it sounds like, and this is where the consensus reached.
Yeah, they come with a spreadsheet, 22, 23, 24, 25. Many of them have a similar request, like police, for example. This is the third year of a 3-year lease. So next year they'll come in with a similar figure, probably on the first year of a 3-year lease for the police vehicles. So many of them go over out into the future, way out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious to see the book that you mentioned, because if 2.6 million is the result of what the CIP committee did, I'd be curious to see what the starting number was, for example.
Okay, I'll make sure you get it.
Great.
Great, thanks.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote to recommend the capital improvement budget. And we'll start with Mr. Richardson,
Yes.
Mr. McKelvey,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Furbush,
Yes.
Mr. Carrier,
Yes,
Mr. Brady,
Yes.
and I too vote yes. So I think this is about the fastest we've come to recommend both of these things in the time that I've been around. All right. That's the last item on our agenda. Any additional topics that could not be foreseen?
Question as we move toward the town meeting. So this kind of goes back to the wastewater discussion, but when the numbers are known, I imagine the article or articles pertaining to that would then be adopted by the selectmen to insert in the warrant for the town meeting. Let me ask it this way. I guess at this point, we don't really have any kind of a preview of what's going to be in the town meeting warrant, whether they are put there by the selectmen or by petition or by the sewer commission or anything pertaining to wastewater.
Correct.
Other than the budget.
Yeah,
Will
we get the numbers?
What was that?
Will we get the numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They said March 15th, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't
to
have
wait
any
till
input. Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Beware the Ides of March.
Whoa, that may be really true this year.
All right. So our next meeting is February 25th at 6:30. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any opposition to adjourning?
No.
Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good
Thank
night.
Good night, all.
Thank
Good night, all. Nice job, Jeff.
Stay warm.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say, Pat.
Right, where's he?
Florida,
Oh, give
I'm
me a
in
break.
Naples.
Naples. Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Glad it's you,
know
buddy.
I guess so.
We'll get even.
Yeah. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
It won't leave. I can't leave.